Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
All right. Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. My guest today is Scott Jenkins. He's the Phoenix office chair at Dorsey and Whitney and a trusted advisor to business leaders known for navigating complex legal challenges and connecting clients to the right solutions, as well as part of a variety of charities and other organizations here locally. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate you.
We were talking about the Thunderbirds. Also, you've helped out with the Fiesta Bowl events and parade. How did both of those start? If you don't mind starting there.
Sure. The first organization I got to be involved with was the Fiesta Bowl. And so was asked to consider joining, went through the interview process to become a member. And I think that was 2012 when I first started as a Yellow Jacket, proud Yellow Jacket. And, started there, kind of worked my way up, doing the hospitality. I was always grown up in Phoenix, always went to the game, always loved the Fiesta Bowl, loved college football. And so it was an easy match, to join the group, and obviously all the things that they do for the community. It was easy to get involved with.
Right. Okay. And are you still involved with the Fiesta Bowl?
I am. I'm a life member.
Okay.
Similar to life members, Thunderbirds, you're not doing as much as you had to as an active member, but love to participate, still go to the games,
Right.
Still wear my Yellow Jacket, at the events and support the cause.
Okay. Yeah. It's a big commitment, and it's kind of like the Marines. Always.
I would say not close to the Marines, but yes, you're definitely, you're a proud member. I guess that's the closest you get to it, but it's fun to give back, and it's fun to support college football.
Right. Okay. Very cool. And based on the stuff behind you there, you're pretty committed to teams already.
Yeah. Again, growing up in Phoenix, support my local teams, including my Arizona Wildcats. So it's a good time to be a Wildcat fan.
Yeah, it is. We're recording this in April 1st. We got the big game with Michigan on Saturday.
That's right. Yeah, we're excited for that.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you did previously and before starting or helping to start up the Dorsey and Whitney Phoenix location.
Yeah, so I've been practicing law for almost 25 years, which is crazy to say. It goes fast, as they all say. But yeah, started off with a local firm in Phoenix and sort of got recruited over to another great firm in town, Quarles and Brady. And, a few years ago, we got approached by Dorsey and Whitney, which is a international law firm with 22 offices across the world, to, open a Phoenix office. They saw what we all see, with the growth in Phoenix and how desirable of a place it is to be, and wanted to be a part of it, and tabbed myself and my partner, Isaac Gabriel, to open an office for them. And we did that in 2022.
Okay. And how's that gone in the first few years?
I mean, I like to think it's gone well. We started with three partners, myself, Isaac, and Andrea Palmer, and quickly, were able to recruit members of our team over, and which landed us at 10 lawyers, and just a little more than 3 years, we're now at 56 attorneys, and
Wow.
taking down 50,000 square feet. So it's been pretty explosive growth for law as far as law firms go.
Right.
Didn't acquire another firm or anything like that. And I think the largest group we've taken on is 3 or 4. So this is pretty organic, strategic, targeted recruiting of people that, growing up in this market and always sort of had a hand in recruiting, whether it was law students or partners at the other firms I were at. And so sort of had an idea of who I wanted to target and, and build, a firm with. I mean, this is my last stop. And so we wanted to really kind of set it up with like-minded people, work hard, play hard, don't take yourself too seriously, but do exceptional legal work, and work with the best clients around.
Right. Okay. It sounds like it's working.
So, again, so far so good. We're having a lot of fun. We've amassed a tremendous amount of talent and just good people. And so I always say, good people attract other good people. And
Right.
so I don't think there's an end in sight, and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing.
Okay, excellent. Sounds like they chose well who they wanted to help set this up. Somebody who's good with exceptional skills, but also who's really connected here locally.
We spent a lot of time with the Dorsey leadership team. It's based in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And
It's
so
global though.
it is global. We have offices in China, Canada, and in Europe, in addition to, a full footprint here in the US. But we spent quite a bit of time sort of making sure this was the right fit, and goals were aligned with what we wanted to do and what they wanted to accomplish, in the market. And they've added me to the national or international management committee. So and appointed me as the national hiring partner. So now I'm oversee all growth for all offices across our entire footprint. And so apparently they liked what they saw, with what we've done in Phoenix, and they wanted us to sort of duplicate that, across Dorsey worldwide.
Okay. And why did they want to get into the Arizona market?
I think they've synergies with so some of our biggest clients are some of the biggest clients in the world: United Healthcare, Mayo Clinic, US Bank, sort of legacy clients that also touch in Phoenix. And so
Okay.
it's Phoenix is the largest big city growing market in the country, and has been for a while. And so Dorsey had a growth strategy sort of to the west. And so we're in every major market in the Western US except for Phoenix prior to our start. And so it was just, they've been trying to break into this market, just didn't find the right group to sort of grow
Hmm.
around until they found us.
Okay. Has any of the tech growth here been in their wheelhouse or their focus?
Absolutely. So, our intellectual property group, which is a national practice, represents some of all the big companies, we read about on a daily basis, navigating their intellectual property, strategies and protections, and then TSMC is a big part of it. And so, one of our real estate partners just got back from Taiwan, visiting clients. And so that's a massive part of our growth strategy. And just, it's such an amazing opportunity for Phoenix to have that, in the semiconductor industry coming here in such a major way. And so we'll definitely be part of that growth, whether it's
Okay.
the real estate side or the intellectual property side.
Can you speak to why your firm is particularly well suited for some of this new growth and the tech space?
Yeah, I think it's just it fits right in with what we do. So Phoenix is a real estate town. That's no secret. And so our initial crew that came over was more lending, finance, as well as bankruptcy and litigation. And so first thing we set out to do was build the best real estate group in town. And so we now have 12 lawyers that specialize in all sorts of, from leasing to dirt to
Okay.
multifamily, you name it, to investment. And so we have to have one of the largest real estate groups now in Phoenix.
Nice.
That just tailor, and the development and everything that's going on up, in Peoria and Northwest Phoenix. That's our clients are involved with it, and we also, just because of the international scope and sort of I think that the power of the brand in other markets, people are familiar with Dorsey, and so when they see that the firm's down here, it's an easy fit that
Right.
they approach us and see if we can help them out.
Okay. Okay. And any other sort of challenges for Arizona for Dorsey? Um, it-
I mean, just starting from zero to 60. I mean, so other than some clients that maybe had a connection with Minneapolis, there was no brand awareness, and so we've really
yeah.
worked hard, over the last first couple of years to just get our brand out there, and being
Okay.
an active participant in charity and sponsorships, and just being involved. Obviously, being involved with the Phoenix Open has helped tremendously with just getting the name out there. But I think our people, are they're also our ambassadors, and so when you hire some of the leaders, in what they do in the market, people take notice pretty quickly. And so, I think in a very short period of time, we've sort of landed on the map, and people starting to take notice of what we're doing.
Okay, so is Dorsey, being a Thunderbird and tournament chair and all that stuff, is that sort of connected Dorsey with the Phoenix Open? Are they big sponsors
Yeah,
now?
we're a very big sponsor now. I think the first year I invited some of our leadership team out, and they were like, "We're spending how much money for a golf tournament?" And as you know, in Minneapolis, like they've hosted big events, Ryder Cups,
Hmm.
U.S.
Yep.
Opens, and so the magnitude of the Open here, and they had never been. They've watched it on TV. And
Right.
so once they saw it live, they were like, "Hey, how can we get a second box?" So they were all in, and it's also a huge, recruiting pitch for clients, based in the Midwest. And so there's nothing better than we just opened a Chicago office in the fall. And so there's nothing, and so my partners joined out this year. They brought clients. Nothing's better than leaving Chicago when it's, -5 and you roll out to 72 and sunny.
Right.
And I'm obviously biased, but I think it's one of the greatest events in the world.
And one of the oldest in the US for golf, right?
For sure. That's the third largest or third oldest on the PGA Tour. And so it's a great tradition, it's a great history, and one of which we are very guarded and proud of.
Right. Speaking of which, so the Masters is this week. Um, is that one of the older ones then?
I don't know where the Masters. So the Masters is not part of the PGA Tour, but the
Right.
Masters. I don't have that in front of me as far as when that started. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I like to think in golf, you got the Masters, which is on one part of the spectrum, and then you got the Phoenix Open on the other. And so I've been fortunate to go to the Masters a couple times. It's a great event. It's obviously totally different, but. Someone had recently said in a quote, it's Phoenix Open is a party with a purpose, and obviously, the Masters is a different vibe, but equally as great.
Right. Right. Um, yeah, attendance wise though, they're still capped. They can't be anywhere close to what the Phoenix Open is it?
Yeah, I think no one really kind of reports attendance any longer. It's safe to say there's plenty of people at both. And again, it's all going back to the right places, and so that's part of the fun of you have a great time. You get to experience world class golf, world
Right.
class weather, and then the money and the proceeds goes directly back into the Valley of the Sun.
Right. Yep. Great stuff. Great stuff. So what are sort of your personal goals? You already have a huge impact here in Phoenix, being part of those sorts of groups, Thunderbirds and the Fiesta Bowl group. Upcoming, do you have any other further goals to have an even bigger impact here locally? It sounds like it's a trend.
Yeah, I think it's a family sort of tradition of giving back. My grandfather kind of, wrote. It's sitting on my wall over here, but I was in fourth grade, and he was a pretty influential member of the Phoenix community, and I think I got my report card in fourth grade, and he congratulated me on doing pretty well, and said, at the end of the day, just become a man of great value. And so I think that's sort of a quote that we toss around in our family quite a bit. And I'm coming up on a different phase, in my personal life, from the standpoint of got a son that's a sophomore at University of Arizona and a junior at high school at Notre Dame Prep, and so we're going to be empty nesters here pretty quickly. And so
Mhm.
I like to think that it's shifted from charitable giving back to coaching, and I've coached my boys in club baseball and all sorts of sports, and it's been fun to kind of be part of that journey. But now it's like it's gonna be a little more freedom to travel and do different things, and I'm a member of GPL and been involved with GPEC, and so it's fun to be a part of what's going on in a city that I love and grew up with, and just watching it thrive. And so we'll just continue to build our Dorsey office. I mean, we're not done yet. I think we've had a good start. But it's also, looking for opportunities to see where I can help and give back to, make this even a better town to live in.
Excellent. Good stuff, Scott. Yeah, it's a perfect, you're a perfect example of uh, like Arthur Brooks talks about. Are you familiar with his
No,
books?
I don't
No,
know.
he's written. strength to strength and other stuff. But it's people who he talks about their seasons, right? There's seasons where you're starting off and you're learning and exploring, and then there's like your productive season, and then there's your giving back season, right? And if you do it properly and do it well, you keep going. Maybe there's a fourth season where you do like national, bigger stuff. You just continue to grow and have a greater impact. And it sounds like you've laid an incredible foundation, and they're really good at it. So that's great.
A lot of trial and error. At the end of the day, like it just whatever I've tried to be involved with, you just try to go all in and do the best you can and use whatever skill set you have to just, make things better. And so that's sort of been, again, my grandfather's, super involved, my dad's super involved in town. And so they were great examples, people that just, are really good at what they do professionally, but also like on a personal basis, understood that it doesn't stop there. There's always time for the things that are important to you. And, that's an important piece of just, making not everybody's as fortunate as we are. And so, if you can kind of lend a hand to make it better, it just improves everybody's situation.
Okay. And being a professional with all your volunteer hours and time and all these different groups, that's a lot of sacrifice. It builds character and helps you maintain values and so forth. What would you say to a younger you, or maybe people who are interested in going into law at this point with the socioeconomic changes and AI and all this sort of stuff? I mean, you're probably teaching your kids these same lessons. Can you maybe share what your opinion is on the state of the American market, if you will?
So as I mentioned, my son's a sophomore at University of Arizona. He says he wants to study law.
Oh boy.
And so, yeah, so we have these conversations all the time. And I think AI is obviously it's a game changer for all industries. It's already becoming a game changer in the practice of law. I sort of laugh at sort of the notion that lawyers are going away or doctors are going away. I mean, at the end of the day, like the advice piece and the consultation piece, the counseling piece isn't going anywhere. And that's honestly what, people pay, me for is the advice piece more than, researching things. I think those functions will be easier, and so advice to law students and, we have a robust summer program. So we have a group of 6 law students that show up every summer for 10 weeks. And it's the best part of the year because you just see the young energy and,
Right.
they're at the beginning of their career. And I mean, that was another reason we started this office. Like I had great mentors. And so kind of paying that forward, that nothing's better to watch like our younger people, win, whether it's winning cases or winning clients or bringing in business. That's just brings a smile to my face. It's fun to watch. And we have some, outstanding people here. I think the biggest thing is you just got to, it's the equivalent of when the calculator came along. You're going to use it. And, and AI is a tool that, if you're in law school right now or really practicing law, you got to use it. You got to figure it out. You got to see how it can make you more efficient. We bill time for living every 6 minutes, of our day or
Oh, yeah.
accounted for one way or another. And so if it can make you more efficient and it's more efficient for our clients where we can bring sort of the crazy cost of, litigation and other legal services down, it's a win for everybody. But our industry is not going anywhere. And I love what I do. I've always loved what I do. I tell my kids and others that like, there's no 8 to 5 millionaires, everyone I know that's successful works 60-hour weeks. And so it's a grind, but if you like what you're doing, go find something that you're good at and be really good at it, and I think that's the best lesson that I got. I think people get wrapped up a little bit in passion, and just go find something you're really good at and then just be the best at it. And you're gonna have success.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you for that. Yeah, the legal industry is not going anywhere. I think if anything, it's growing. Right now, it's just more. There's AI governance is a whole new branch. It just keeps adding on.
Historically, we make the rules, so I don't think we're gonna rule ourselves out of it. So, I'm not. Listen, you gotta adapt. Like anything else. And so
Sure.
our firm's adapting, on a national basis and on a local basis. And, And so, change with the times.
For sure, for sure. Stay adaptable. Transition to the future, right? Planning for retirement and other stuff. Can we get a feel for be in your position? You see all sorts of great stuff, and you probably, I imagine you're fairly diversified in local projects. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's fair to say. Yep.
Okay, okay. What are some of your favorite projects or investments?
I work with a great team, and so it's kind of hypocritical for somebody that provides counseling and, advice to not take it on things that you're not an expert on. And so I got a great team that I kind of work with, sort of trust them, obviously consult with them and they keep me updated on what they're thinking, but,
Right.
just having fun with it, kind of dabbled in the crypto stuff, probably at the worst time. But it's been fun to learn, more about, on the investment side as I approach 50, and sort of to your point, looking at that next phase of, being an empty nester and, I don't think I'm going anywhere. I don't know what I would do in retirement at this point. It's my dad still practices, and
Okay,
uh,
excellent.
he dabbles, and I think that's one of the great things about the practice of law. It is a time business, and so if you get the right setup, you can kind of put as much time as you want into it, and as long as you're of sound mind and still doing a good job, there's plenty of opportunities to stay involved.
Right. Being part of Dorsey, I mean, a lot of people who maybe they run their own practice, they have to keep reinvesting to grow it, right? And they don't have a diversified portfolio, at least when they're starting out. They're trying to grow their business, right? They keep going in. Was that an advantage of being with Dorsey? They had
Yeah,
a lot of infrastructure built out already, I imagine.
for on the back end, I mean, we joke a little bit that it was a little bit of a startup feel. We were in shared space, a WeWork situation, to start
Right.
before. We've moved 3 times, in 3 years, and so we
Well,
finally
you
have
keep
a
growing so fast.
yeah, well, outgrown our space, and so it's a good problem to have. But we're now sort of at our, let's say, our 10-year permanent home at 24th and Camelback, and just took on some additional space. So we'll have 50,000 square feet of commercial space, which is more than I ever sort of imagined a couple of years ago. But the growth supports it, and we are a big believer in kind of in the office. I think there's total flexibility and love sort of the remote nature of the practice of law at times, but at the end of the day, like we're cheating the younger lawyers. We were talking about them earlier. That's the other advice. I'd find a firm that is around because you learn so much from it's called the practice of law for a reason. You gotta practice, you gotta do it, and it's easier to navigate when you can walk down the hall to an absolute expert in of an area. When your client calls and says, "I have a real estate question," trying to find them by Zoom or text message or versus walking down the hall and saying, "Here's my situation. Can you jump on a call? What do you think?" It's easier to navigate. It's better for the younger people that are trying to learn. It's also better for our clients to be it's all about responsiveness. Our clients want answers. They want it now. And they're not waiting for somebody to, get a text message back. I can talk to you in 2 days. It doesn't work. So yeah,
Right.
everybody's got their own strategies. We always tell people like, I don't use the word mandatory, with like being here. It's just, hey, contribute to the culture, the office, be around, for our younger associates so they can, get the mentorship that we promise them. And so it's more fun to be with people versus working in a basement by yourself.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, to your point of it being a practice, and you learn not just by having other people to bounce your own ideas off of, but when you get to hear about the other problems they're solving in different circles and next door and stuff, and you get so much more orders of magnitude more growth.
Yeah, I mean the culture of our, office is, I mean, you have world-class attorneys, that are experts in their area. And so being somebody that likes to originate work and bring in clients and stuff that I don't do, I really rely upon them to, be available to help my clients as I would help theirs. And so, there's different ways to practice law. I think, I enjoy our way because, it's people helping people. versus being in silos. And so, if there was one perfect way to practice law, we'd all be doing it. But there's what works for different people, and we're not for everybody. We're just for super fun people that want to be really good at practicing law.
Right on. Okay. So as we sort of wrap up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives for 26 coming up?
Exciting plans, turning 50. So, today is my 49 and a half birthday, so I got 6 months to go in my 40s. And so I think, we'll do some travel with family and kind of celebrate that. I'm embracing it. I'm having fun with it. I know some people, get all bent out of shape about getting older, but love watching my Notre Dame Saints. My son plays football and baseball, and so I got a year and a half of watching them, watching him on the field, which is something we all enjoy. Kind of a rallying point for our entire family, who pretty much all lives here. So the Jenkins family show up in force, at all Notre Dame
Friday
games.
night lights.
But I mean, just keep recruiting great people that want to add to what we're doing here, and in addition to helping our other offices have similar success to what we have going on.
Okay. Scott, if people would like to connect with you, learn more about Dorsey, or maybe how to help out with, for example, the Thunderbirds, where can they go? What should they do?
Dorsey.com is the best spot. You'll see my bio and kind of what my practice is, and our national practice as well as our local practice. And then Thunderbird Charities is the website for our charitable giving arms. And so any of the nonprofits out there, there's the application process on there. People are welcome to, I was, as Big Chief, I was president of Thunderbird Charities, so very well know the process of how we give money out and what we try to accomplish there. And so anybody's welcome to reach out, and if they have questions and anybody has any legal needs, happy to help as well.
All right. That's great. Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Scott Jenkins, for joining me today. Appreciate you sharing all of your insights into the legal growth and aspects here in Phoenix, but also your impact in your charities. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.